Hello, dear students. Here I am presenting chapter number 2, the concepts in geomorphology. There are about 10 concepts which are fundamental concepts enumerated by W.D. Thornbury, which are as below. The concept number 1, the concept of uniformitarianism, the same physical processes and laws that operated today operated throughout the geologic time, although not necessarily with the same intensity as now. This concept was first enunciated by Hutton in 1785 and restated by Playfair in 1802, which is then popularized by Lyell. This can be explained by a simple phrase: the present is key to past. The concept number 2, it is the concept of geological structure. The geological structure is the dominant controlling factor in the evolution of landforms and is reflected in them, implies not only fold, fault, but also the attitude, the rock massiveness, hardness, etc. of the earth material. The term structure also has a stratigraphic implication, and knowledge of the structure of a region implies an appreciation of rock sequence both in outcrop and in subsurface, as well as the regional relationship of the rock strata. Here, a knowledge of geological structure in the narrow sense, but thus becomes very essential. Concept number 3. To a large degree, Earth's surface possesses relief because the geomorphic processes operate at a differential rate. Here, there can be the variation in lithology, structure, and even the composition of rock. The main reason why gradation of the Earth's surface proceeds differentially is that the rocks of the Earth's crust vary in their lithology and structure, and hence offer varying degree of resistance to the gradational process. The concept number 4, it is actually the concept of characteristic assemblages of landforms. This states that the geomorphic process leave their distinctive imprint on landforms, and each geomorphic process develop its own characteristic assemblage of landform. For example, fluvial, it has its own characteristic assemblages such as floodplain, levee, delta, meander, oxbolex, waterfall, etc. Even glacier, aeolian, so many these different geomorphic processes are there. Just as a species of plant and animal have their distinctive characteristics, so landforms have their individual distinguishing features dependent upon the geomorphic processes responsible for their development. Floodplains, alluvium, and deltas are the products of stream action. Sinkhole and caverns are produced by the, we can say, karst topography, and endmoraine drumlins are found in the regions of the glaciated areas. Concept number 5, it is actually the concept of orderly sequence of landforms. As the differential erosion agencies act upon the Earth's surface, there is produced a sequence of landforms having distinctive characteristics at the successive stages of their development. Geomorphic cycles are there. Similarly, in the topographic details of two regions would be acceptable only if the initial surface lithology, structure, climate, and diastrophic conditions were comparable. Concept number 6. Complexity of geomorphic evolution is more common than the simplicity. This is a simple, that is, complexity is more common than simplicity. Rare to find landform attributed to one process. This means that there can be the formation of a geomorphic surface including so many different geomorphic processes at a time. So it is observed that generally little of the Earth's topography can be explained as the result of operation of a single geomorphic process or a single geomorphic cycle of development. Seventh concept is the concept of age of topographic features. Little of the Earth's topography is older than the Tertiary and most of it not older than Pleistocene. So earlier forms are very rare. Older discussion about the age of the topographic features refers to Earth erosion surfaces dating back to the Cretaceous or even as far back as the Precambrians. We have gradually come to a realization that topographic features so ancient are rare, and if they do exist, they must have been eroded, exhumed, or there must have been the degradation goes on in this particular period of time. Concept number 7. Proper interpretation of a present-day landscape is impossible without a full appreciation of geologic and climatic changes occurred during Pleistocene. So, geological period of glacial in the Pleistocene as well as the sea level changes are one of the important aspects in this. Correlative with the realization of the geologic recency of the most of the world's topography is the recognition that the geologic and climatic changes during the Pleistocene have had far-reaching effects on the present-day topography. Concept number 9. An appreciation of world climate is necessary for proper understanding of the varying importance of the different geomorphic processes, especially temperature and precipitation. So climatic factors, they also play an important role in the development of geomorphic processes, either indirectly or directly. The indirect influences are largely related to the climate effects, the amount, kind and distribution of the vegetal matter. The direct controls are such as obvious one of the part of the atmosphere, such as the precipitation, intensity, relation between the processes, evaporation, daily change in temperature, etc. are included in this. Now the last concept is the concept of a maximum usefulness of historical extension. Here this concept states that geomorphology, although is concerned primarily with the present day landscape, attain its maximum usefulness by historical extension. In this, geomorphology concerns itself primarily with the origin of the present day landscape, but in most landscapes there are the 5 events that date back to previous geological epoch or period. A geomorphologist is thus forced to adopt a historical approach if he is interpreting properly the geomorphic history of a region. This is the chapter number 2. Thanks.